Alors, bienvenue à cette conférence de presse à l'occasion de l'Assemblée plénière annuelle de la CECC. Je m'appelle Maribel Mayorga, directrice des communications de la CECC. I will say my remarks in English right after. Merci de votre présence parmi nous. La conférence de presse se déroulera comme suit. Le président ainsi que le vice-président de la CECC présenteront un court récapitulatif de la semaine. Nous débuterons ensuite la période de questions. Pour les journalistes sur notre chaîne YouTube, nous vous invitons à écrire votre question sur le chat. Welcome to our press conference today on the occasion of the CCCB Annual Plenary Meeting. I'm Maribel Mayorga, the Communication Director of the CCCB. Thank you for being with us. The press conference will take place as follows. The CCCB President and Vice President will present a brief summary of the week. Right after, we will begin the questions period. For journalists on our YouTube channel, we invite you to write your question on the chat box. Now, with further delay, I will invite the President of the CCCB, Bishop William McGrattan, and the Vice President, Bishop Pierre Coudreau, to give us their introductory remarks.
Thank you, Maribel Mayorga, and thank you for those who have joined this press conference as we summarize our 2024 plenary here in Quebec City in Mont-Saint-Anne. I'll offer some very general themes and then invite Bishop Coudreau, the Vice President, to also share some insights of this past week. At the opening, what we discussed was with the upcoming Jubilee year. And this is an opportunity not only for the Canadian Church, but all of Catholics throughout the world to enter into a spirit of hope. The theme is Pilgrims of Hope, and we focused on how we can support our national shrines, how they can be places in which people can journey, can experience the gift of silence, of prayer, and spirituality. It was very informative for us to see how we can do that within our own context of Canada. One of the important highlights was the keynote address that we received from Cardinal Gretsch, who is in charge of the Synod. He explained to us as bishops how this path of synodality has unfolded, how he has been preparing for this second session, which I will attend as one of the delegates from the Canadian Church. We hope that as we prepare, and as he encouraged us, this will be a time to deepen our reflections on many of the themes that were presented in the first session, but to go deeper and to see where the Holy Spirit is leading us in areas not only of relationships within the church, but also structures and pathways of formation, and also for the role and the charisms of the laity. This was a very inspiring and very important talk. We then also focused on another keynote address, and this was on Thursday, and it dealt with immigration. We had the presentation by Dr. Fabio Baggio from the Dicastery for Integral Human Development. He gave us the international understanding of this phenomenon, these issues. Close to 3.6% of the world's population, over 280 million people, are in this category of immigrants and also migrants. Internally displaced in some countries because of climate change. Others are seeking asylum because of oppressive governments, asylum seekers. And then there are those who are looking for the opportunity for a better economic future for their families. And this was most inspiring because of the challenges that we read about. But also I think we heard the stories, the human stories behind those who see that this path of immigration is important for them and for their families. And how we as a country and we as a church can be better prepared to receive them, to not fear, but to welcome them in a way that Christ welcomes the stranger. And then finally, the one theme that has been present within our own country, but the church here in Canada, has been the promotion of palliative care. We focused once again on the fruits of the International Interfaith Symposium on Palliative Care that took place in Toronto in the spring. And we received an update in how this symposium has created a pathway of work for those who want to promote greater advocacy and access to palliative care, how to educate people on the importance of it, but also to recognize that this is something that respects the dignity of all human beings. So those are some of the themes that have come to mind as I sort of summarize, but I'd like to now offer Bishop Goudreau the opportunity to share with you as well some of the insights and experiences that we have.
Merci, Monseigneur McGrattan. Et bonjour à vous, journalistes qui avez accepté de participer à cette conférence de presse. Et merci pour l'intérêt que vous manifestez pour l'Assemblée plénière 2024 de la Conférence des évêques catholiques du Canada, qui se tient cette année ici à Beaupré, près de Québec, à l'occasion du 350e de la fondation du diocèse de Québec. J'aimerais d'abord vous partager comme information que nous avons accueilli Dr. Barra, qui est directrice nationale de l'Association catholique d'aide à l'Orient. Et durant sa présentation, elle nous a sensibilisé beaucoup, le groupe des évêques canadiens, à la situation, bien sûr, de souffrance, de difficultés que vivent les populations situées à Gaza, en Ukraine, au Liban également. Et bien sûr que sa présentation était un appel à la solidarité, à la communion dans la prière aussi, et à nous sensibiliser afin que dans nos diocèses respectifs, nous puissions marcher ensemble dans cette plus grande solidarité aussi envers ces peuples. Deuxièmement, nous avons aussi eu une très, très belle présentation de Développement et Paix Caritas Canada. Alors, et c'est bon de savoir que nous avons toujours 4 évêques qui sont membres du Conseil national, 2 évêques anglophones, 2 évêques francophones. Et ces 4 évêques ont fait une présentation conjointe avec la présidente, Madame Brenda Arakaza, et aussi le directeur général par intérim, Luke Stocking. Alors, tous les 6 nous ont présenté, au fond, à la fois leur plan stratégique pour les 5 prochaines années à partir de 3 priorités. Au fond, la première qui était d'améliorer les conditions de vie dans plusieurs pays, aussi de valoriser l'éducation et la protection des personnes vulnérables, et d'être sensible davantage aux impacts multiples que vivent bien des communautés. Nous avons aussi eu l'occasion, grâce à leur présentation, d'être réveillés davantage à de très beaux programmes pour les jeunes adolescents et jeunes adultes, tout particulièrement dans certaines régions du Canada, dans les écoles catholiques, mais aussi des programmes qui sont offerts par Développement et Paix pour les jeunes, même dans les écoles publiques, pour les éveiller davantage à la solidarité, coopération internationale, au partage, à créer des liens aussi avec d'autres jeunes dans d'autres pays. Troisièmement, j'aimerais aussi vous parler, nous avons à la conférence épiscopale un comité permanent pour le ministère responsable et la protection des personnes mineures et vulnérables. Alors, depuis 2018, nous avons une politique révisée pour la protection des personnes mineures contre les abus sexuels. Et donc, il y a 69 recommandations qui ont été approuvées par les évêques et ceux-ci ont été bien sûr appelés à les mettre en pratique dans leurs diocèses respectifs. Mais durant notre plénière, nous avons pris le temps tout de même de revoir les différentes sections, je dirais, de cette politique. Et au fond, ça permettait aux évêques d'identifier un total de 9 actions concrètes pour continuer à améliorer l'implantation de cette politique dans leur diocèse. Alors, à partir de travail d'équipe, on a pu échanger et identifier 9 actions plus concrètes pour aller de l'avant. Enfin, j'aimerais dire un mot aussi en lien avec 2 publications qui ont été faites au cours de l'année par le dicaster La doctrine de la foi. Le premier document qui est sur la signification pastorale des bénédictions, Fiducia Supplicans. Alors, encore là, les évêques ont eu l'occasion de travailler en équipe, en petits groupes, pour échanger un peu à partir de leur expérience dans leur diocèse, comment ce document a été reçu, de quelle manière aussi les prêtres accompagnent des personnes qui, au fond, ont besoin de prières, de bénédictions, de soutien, peu importe leur situation de vie. Et donc, ce n'était pas tant ici d'élaborer un communiqué ou encore des orientations, c'était simplement d'accueillir ce document et de voir comment il est reçu et mis en œuvre dans nos diocèses. Et ça a été le cas également pour un deuxième document qui a été aussi publié par le dicastère de la foi, cette fois-ci qui touche plus la dignité humaine, Dignitas Infinita. Et au fond, c'était un autre beau moment d'échange qui nous a permis, comme évêque, de réfléchir dans le sens, sur le sens même de la nature de la dignité humaine, et d'essayer d'identifier aussi dans nos régions respectives quels sont peut-être les problèmes soulevés, identifiés, qui portent atteinte aussi à la dignité humaine. Voilà, merci.
Merci beaucoup. Nous allons débuter la période de questions. On vous demande, s'il vous plaît, d'adresser vos questions en mentionnant le nom de la personne à qui vous voulez vous adresser et en vous mentionnant également. We'll now open the floor to questions. We ask you to please identify yourself. We ask you to address your question by mentioning the name of the person you wish to address. So, juste un petit rappel, si vous avez des questions, vous pouvez l'écrire dans la boîte chat, juste à côté. Et on va juste prendre quelques moments si jamais vous avez des questions. So if you have some questions, we ask you to please write your question in the chat box in case you have some questions. I'm just going to give a little bit of time, and then we will proceed with the conclusion. Okay, so we have a first question from Catholic Register, Anna Farrell. Good morning. Could you please speak to the outcome of 2 sessions on the 2 years organizational review? Was there a vote on or agreed upon direction or of the discussions?
Well, I'll offer just very general comments first, but I think Bishop Goudreau, who has been chairing the committee to examine the restructuring or possible restructuring of our governance, of our plenary, our permanent council, and executive committee. It's been a 2-year process. There has been many steps of consultation. And so the 2 sessions this week were to further allow for the bishops to have the opportunity to pose questions, to offer their insights as to how to strengthen this particular initiative of, seeing that the governance of our plenary, our conference is important, and how can we improve that. But he has been very much involved and taken a leadership role, and so I really do want to allow him to express his thoughts on these 2 sessions, which he led and facilitated during the plenary.
Thank you, Bishop McGrattan. As Bishop mentioned, during the past year, we had different moments of consultation and update with the Canadian bishops. Actually, we had 3 moments in November, during the summer, and in September. And we had 1 moment also with the staff members of our secretariat. And so during the Assemblée plenary, in the name of the Permanent Council, we were presenting a new version of the recommendations. It's a total of 23 recommendations for governance that touches the Plenary Assembly, the Permanent Council, the Executive Committee. And yes, there was a vote, and it was adopted. So then it means completely that the next steps will be that the Executive Committee will be in charge progressively of the implementation of those recommendations. And of course, we'll have to report on a regular basis to the Permanent Council. And next year, at the next plenary 2025, there will be a second phase for the organizational review. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a second question. My name is Quentin Hamilton from the Catholic Register. I would like to know what actions the CCCB will take to encourage continued fundraising momentum for the Indigenous Reconciliation Fund.
Well, one of the presentations that we did receive in the plenary was an update of how we as the bishops, following the Holy Father's penitential pilgrimage here to Canada, how we have concretely been walking with and promoting both truth and reconciliation with our Indigenous communities. Well, one of the highlights was to receive the report of the Indigenous Reconciliation Fund. We now know that it has raised in excess of 17 million, and there is close to 200 projects that have been funded locally. And so we saw this as a very positive, a very encouraging step, as I mentioned. And we had the testimony, I think, also of bishops who have received and have promoted these projects of reconciliation. So we're ahead of schedule in terms of the collection of the pledged 30 million. And more importantly, we're starting to see these projects beginning to affect local communities throughout Canada. So again, I say that many of the bishops were very much encouraged with what has taken place since the Holy Father's visit here to Canada.
We have a follow-up question, again from Anna Farrow concerning the organizational review. Is there a document available that outlines the 23 adopted recommendation? Thank you.
There's a document. Actually, right now, it's the Permanent Council who received it, and we presented the document at the Plenary Assembly for reactions, for a vote. There was no agreement yet that this is public, but we'll discuss it at our Permanent Council to see the possibility to make it public.
Thank you. I'm just going to wait a couple of seconds to see if there's more questions. If not, we're going to proceed with the conclusion. OK. Donc, je tiens à remercier votre participation ainsi que la participation de Monseigneur McGrath et de Monseigneur Goudreau. I would like to express my sincere thanks to Bishop McGrath and Bishop Goudreau, as well as all of you who participate. Thank you very much. Merci.
Merci.
Yes.